Welcome back! In Part 3, the chaos of Rome intensifies as Julius Caesar's power reaches new heights. Allies and enemies alike plot their moves, and the fate of the Republic hangs in the balance. Let's continue the story of how Rome transforms from a city of intrigue into an unstoppable empire. Realizing Caesar could not be stopped, Pompey first fled to Spain and then to Egypt. However, he was killed as soon as he set foot in Egypt. In just about 2 months, Caesar gained control over all of Rome and in 49 BCE declared himself dictator of Rome. The most important military event during Caesar's dictatorship was the Egyptian throne conflict in 47 BCE. Seeking to gain influence in Egypt, Cleopatra requested Caesar's help, and he moved to Egypt with his army. Caesar's army won the battle in the Nile Delta and handed the country over to Cleopatra. By the year 44 BCE, opposition against Caesar had grown day by day, and they were preparing a conspiracy against him. Caesar, who pardoned most of those he defeated in internal conflicts, even allowed them to remain in the Senate. This mistake would ultimately lead to Caesar's downfall. In 44 BCE, Caesar being appointed perpetual dictator was the last straw for the opponents. The legendary Roman commander Caesar was assassinated in the Senate during his final meeting in 44 BCE. Later, I will release a single detailed video about Caesar's life. After Caesar's death, his nephew Gaius Octavius ascended the Roman throne. At only 18 years old when he ascended, Gaius Octavius quickly adapted to state affairs and earned a good reputation among the people. In his early years, he co-ruled the country with Marcus Antonius and Marcus Lepidus, but later a leadership struggle emerged among them. Octavius defeated his rivals, even with the help of the Egyptian pharaoh Cleopatra, and managed to take full control. Then, in 30 BCE, he marched against Egypt to exact revenge, defeating Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium. After Cleopatra's death, he annexed Egypt for Rome. Despite his young age, Octavius was a very successful leader and was given the name Augustus, meaning His Majesty, by the Senate. After taking power, Augustus never forgot what happened to his uncle and took a series of measures to prevent a recurrence. The laws and decisions he enacted were accepted in the Roman assembly without any debate. Moreover, by taking the army entirely under his own command instead of leaving it to the generals, he exerted great pressure on the assembly. Since no one in Roman history had ever concentrated such power alone, historians consider 27 BC as the birth of the Roman Empire and Augustus as Rome's first emperor. In 27 BCE, after sidelining his rivals Marcus Antonius and Marcus Lepidus, Octavianus returned to Rome as its sole ruler. Rome, founded as a republic, from that date onward became an empire. To restore a democratic environment, Octavianus adhered to the Roman constitution and returned authority to the Senate 1 month after returning to Rome, also relinquishing control over the army. Although this seemed risky after what had happened to Caesar, it earned him the loyalty and love of the people, the Senate, and the army. Additionally, the Senate gave him the title Augustus, which in a religious sense meant leader of humanity. As Augustus began efforts to rebuild Rome, he first reorganized the taxation system. Previously, taxes were collected only in major cities and voluntarily. Spreading them across the entire country both reduced tax rates and allowed the state to collect more revenue. In this way, the prosperity of both the people and the state increased. In addition, public officials were appointed to collect taxes, a task previously handled by the wealthy. This prevented bribery and unjust enrichment. With the revenue from taxes, an official courier system was established, new roads were built, and a regular army and navy were created. Furthermore, an official police force and fair brigade were established, operating solely within the city of Rome. After establishing order throughout the country, it was time to expand the nation's borders. Augustus initially set his sights on the Parthian territories, but abandoned the idea due to the strength of the Roman army and the long supply distances. First, northern Spain, inhabited by the Celts in the west, was conquered, followed by the area extending to present-day Switzerland. Then, in North Africa, advances eastward and southward were made to carry out invasions. In 25 BCE, the lands of Anatolia were incorporated into Roman territory through a series of agreements without war. In 16 CE, the Roman army gained control over the entire Alps, creating a buffer zone against the Germans who were attacking Roman territory. As for the eastern part of the empire, a Roman army was stationed in Syria by Augustus' son-in-law Tiberius to protect against the Persian threat. Tiberius was not only a successful soldier but also an excellent diplomat. Through diplomacy, he managed to take the region up to Armenia from the Parthians. Additionally, by helping Armenia, which was under Parthian occupation, he freed the region from the invasion and ensured it was recognized as a vassal kingdom loyal to Rome. After this period, the Roman Empire was more occupied with problems in the west. In 06 CE, the Roman army entered Germanic territories and gained control, but it lasted only 3 years. The Germanic people in the region refused to recognize Roman rule, causing countless Roman soldiers to die in daily uprisings, and by 09 CE, the Roman army had to withdraw from these lands. This region, known as Northern Germany, experienced constant conflict and war but never came under the control of the Roman Empire. By 14 CE, 51-year-old Augustus had fallen ill, was bedridden, and unable to govern the country. Since his male children and grandchildren had died, he had no male heir to whom he could leave the throne. Therefore, he adopted Tiberius and made him the heir to the empire. Rome is no longer a republic. The new order founded by Augustus laid the foundations of an empire that would shape the world for centuries. But the story doesn't end here. The throne is now in the hands of Tiberius. Intrigues, betrayals, and dark times are at the door. Is Rome entering its golden age or its most dangerous era? We'll discover it together in the next episode. See you in part 4.